I'm Estelle.
And I'm Sabrina.
And you guys are all 20th Century Fox Studios. And we're presenting our feature film, a fantasy story, The Guilds of Eldoria. Imagine this. In a city fractured by guild rivalries, the fate of this city rests in the hands of the golden child, Lucia Barono. And when their coming-of-age ceremony shatters around them, they join forces with a street-smart urchin and a blacksmith with a hidden past, and expose the dangerous world of magic that surrounds them.
The themes are
environmentalism, justice, equality, and friendship.
There we go. Welcome to Eldoria. In Eldoria, the magic system is based on the act of creation, where an artisan is able to infuse magic into their art while they are creating it. The opposite of creative magic is destructive magic, which is very feared in this society and manifests as the solar punk aesthetic of this world. In the society, guilds are organized, or the society is organized into guilds based on the craft that they specialize in. The glassmakers and the blacksmiths were once the two prestigious guilds until one day about a decade ago when there was a big destructive magic accident that killed a lot of people and was blamed on the blacksmiths. Ever since then, because of their being blamed, the blacksmiths have been demoted in society and kind of looked down on ever since. Our protagonist, Lucia, was caught in this accident and was severely injured, so now she has a prosthetic arm and leg made out of glass. She has been used kind of by the glass makers as a symbol of, against the blacksmiths and so yeah, she's been used as a symbol, which has caused the blacksmiths to be very resentful towards her because it's kind of a symbol of their oppression. She is the child of a prestigious family in the glassmaking guild, so she's a little bit spoiled, but she's very loyal and very close to her family. But she does feel like she's been pitied since the accident, so she's eager to prove that she's not fragile.
These are our supporting characters. Petra Palomo is a 13-year-old scrawny troublemaker who their adopted parent is Alfred, who they run this messenger bird business with. However, shortly before our story begins, Alfred dies, leaving Petra on their own to fend for themselves. And one way that they have to deal with this is when the government offers them money to give them information on their newfound friends, Petra takes it to benefit himself. Our other character, Zuri Brandt, is a 19-year-old buff blacksmith whose dad died in the destructive magic accident, and ever since their mom has been in hiding in the refugee camps. Because of this, Zuri is very afraid of surprises and often over-prepares for everything to cope with that fear. Alright, our story starts off at Lucia's debut ceremony in the Glass Lotus, the Glassmakers Guild headquarters, where Lucia will become a fully fledged glassmaker. But things go awry. A sound bomb is set off, creating a high-pitched noise, and the entire Glass Lotus shatters, including Lucia's glass prosthetic arm and leg, leaving them basically frail and fragile. Zuri takes advantage of this when the three meet while trying to escape the chaos of everything shattering around them. And so Zuri uses Lucia's disability to run away and kidnaps Lucia and takes them to
Starlight Hollow,
a rebel base camp underneath the city where mostly blacksmiths are staying, but basically anyone who's hiding from the government can take refuge. A cool part about this is that all of the light source from the cave comes from crystals that are growing because of a magic source in the earth. And in Starlight Hollow, this refuge camp, Lucia starts to learn more about what the blacksmiths have gone through since the destructive magic accident, and they start to have a sort of change of heart.
A big part of this change of heart comes when they join an investigation into a poison lab that turns out to be owned by Chairman Hyde, the leader of the city, who's been secretly leading a poison guild, which is one of the most dangerous forms of destructive magic. While investigating, the group gets attacked, and one of the rebels sacrifices themselves to save Lucia's life. In the guilt following this, Lucia decides to take that responsibility and fight back against the corruption that they've been discovering. So Lucia, Zuri, and Petra are called to the rescue of a neighboring rebel camp who is under attack by President, what's his name? Chairman Hyde's, Chairman Hyde's poisoneers and soldiers. But Zuri's mom gets critically injured. Petra is on the brink of exposing them to Chairman Hyde. And then Lucia's brother, Marco, shows up as one of Hyde's followers. Lucia is forced to face her roots as a glassmaker, and in Marco she sees who she could have become. Will Lucia be able to bring that missing piece in order to defeat the evil leader and end the corruption in this city? Will the truth about the past be able to be exposed in order to correct the injustices of the past? You'll have to watch the movie.
For our reflection, why this was important to us, I think just figuring out how the creative and destructive magic worked and sort of building the whole story around that was really fun. And I think getting to build the whole world from scratch and doing the world building was amazing. Also, all of our research papers were about sort of environmentalism, so we wanted to put that into the story with the solar punk sort of aesthetic of the world and the focus on environmentalism because of the fear of destructive magic. Challenges that we had, trying to schedule time to work on this outside of class for sure, and getting our 14-page narrative treatment down to a 5-ish minute presentation. What we want the audience to take away from this is basically it may be really scary to go against everything that you know, but when you know that you're doing it for the right thing, it's honestly going to be worth it in the end. Yeah.
Alex.
You guys mentioned solar punk a few times, and I didn't know what that was. Is it a genre or an aesthetic, and what does it entail?
This is Ethan's specialty, but he is sick, so it's pretty much just the I don't know how to. You can describe.
It's sort of it's a very big focus on environmentalism and making sure that nothing in the world actually is causing pollution. Doing buildings that are very environmental, no big factories. It's just focus on a lot of greenery, especially too.
If you go back in your slides a little bit,
yeah.
Illustrate that a little bit.
Yeah. So that's the. I think we had. This is a pretty good example. So we have canals. There's lots of greenery everywhere. There's lots of glass, and just everything. A lot of things are powered by magic instead of electricity. So there's just not a lot of
Electricity is
very.
Yes.
I see an integration between the natural world and the man-made physical world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really what's so interesting about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you ask Ethan about it sometime, he'll talk your ear off. Yeah. In a good way. Cool. So we're Fox Studio executives, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Why Fox?
We just thought they made a lot of this type of movie that's very the world building and the creative and the very heartfelt kind of thing. That was very visually beautiful and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any specific movies that you felt inspired your vision for what the movie could be?
That's a good question. I think Ethan definitely has more to talk about this. I think overall, just less of one specific movie, but sort of dystopian movies, because it's sort of presented as a utopia, but underneath not really. Ethan did do Scythe was one of them, where it's sort of this it's corrupt and kind of messed up, but it's seems perfect to all of them in the moment. So I think that's probably one. Yeah.
So why make it a movie if it was inspired off books?
I think it's very visual, and I think it would look very cool on the big screen. Yeah, I mean, in design, we also designed a book cover, so it's technically both, but Natalie?
Who do you think you would cast if you like have
We said we were going to try some new faces instead of doing big name actors.
Would you advance your slides to the cave with the crystals? I think this would be a usually dazzling scene.
Yeah.
Setting.
This is AI generated, so it's a little.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an IMAX movie experience.
Mhm.
Yeah, fun and just visually dazzling. Idea.
You said that, maybe I misheard, but the main character is also called, what was it, like the golden one or something? Can you explain how that ties into the story?
Yeah, so Lucia is the glass child. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so Lucia, because of the way that she has been, it's kind of a publicity stunt on the glassmaker's part, especially Chairman Hyde. They kind of like took advantage of the destructive magic accident, and the little like 5-year-old who lost an arm and a leg, they kind of used her as like a public figure to like show like, oh, the blacksmiths are so bad, and kind of like do that. But in the end, Lucia, like as the glass child, has to turn around and fix the thing that she has like indirectly, but like she brings the blacksmith back up again.
Hand back here.
So, wait, so like in the story, so why, so like the whole corruption thing, like could you go into it more?
Okay, so there's a lot more like context and backstory that we went into in our scripts, or not called the
14
treatment.
page here.
But it was 14 pages, and we were not able to fit it all into 5 minutes. But pretty much, Chairman Hyde and Zuri's deceased father were like kind of political rivals, and Hyde kind of like orchestrated the destructive magic incident and like and took down the blacksmith. So he took out his rival and everything so that he could elevate himself and the glassmakers and everything, and now he's running the poison guild, and which is super destructive magic, and it's secret, like it's like harming the city around the edges and all these things. And so there's like a lot of like, even though like a lot of people are like really benefiting, there is like a lot of like people who are like not. And the corruption, I guess, mostly centers around Chairman Hyde and his poison guild and the secrets that he's covering up. Well,
why does he, like, what's his motivation for making a poison guild?
The poison guild, I think, was it started around when he was trying to one up his rival, who was Zuri's dad, and it kind of just, he was experimenting with destructive magic. It went too far. He went a little crazy and just like got too ambitious. So
what specifically is like gained from making the poison guild? I guess it's just like a quicker source of power. Or...
I mean, yeah, he's definitely able to blackmail a lot of people because if they know about it, and he's able to take out a lot of his enemies or anyone who's against him, which is why the underground rebel camp exists, because people are like, they have to hide if they don't want to be like taken out by poison guild.
So, in the story, do you ever show like other types of destructive magic? Like, do you ever explore that?
Yeah, so destructive magic is kind of, because the solar punk, like creation magic and the solar punk aesthetic are very tied. Destructive magic is kind of a lot like coal, like kind of just generally defined as like destructive things and like not environmentally friendly things. That's the vibe. Alex?
What do you think makes your story different from like other dystopian movies or books?
I think, well, one, I think they'd have a lot of like focus I mean, obviously fantasy movies are very big on like visuals, but I think like the refugee camp could be really cool. I think also the fact that the fantasy, like, it is Chairman Hyde who's like causing all of this, but there's also like corruption like throughout the whole like city, and it's sort of like an issue with like how society is like set up, and so it's kind of like not just a oh no evil person, it's kind of like everything like the whole society is corrupt, and there's like so much that everyone like doesn't know that's going on, and so it's like a really cool thing to like sort of get into and learn like all of the lore about, I think. Yeah.
So what happens at the end?
So Lucia is able to take her glass-making ability. She builds herself back an arm and a leg made out of glass and metal, like kind of intertwined, to show how she's accepting both sides of her, and she uses her like that combination to kind of defeat Chairman Hyde, and his destructive magic, his poison guild kind of consumes him, and then they have to like, the city's kind of left in a little bit of ruins, but they get to rebuild like with that, like with the truth revealed, and the blacksmiths are back on good standing, and everyone's working towards like community.
Why a glass prosthetic? Because that's
Because she's in the glassmaking guild.
yes, but it wouldn't be very durable, or is it like
Well, they
magically enhanced?
Don't you think it's
Magically enhanced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Magic class.
It's magic class, yes. Yeah.
Wait, what other guilds are there?
There are a lot of guilds. It's kind of like they're general like groups, and then like, so like the glassmakers, I forget most of them. The glassmakers and blacksmiths we focused on because that's kind of what the city is built on, like glass and metal kind of things. There's also the stonemasons, the potters, the like woodworking. There's also like painting, like kind of just like arts, and like categories like that. Except like, yeah, not too high tech art though, because this is not super high tech.
Yeah, Sophia.
Another question. Would you consider like making this like a movie, like several movies, and each one focusing on like different like guilds or groups and within the society?
That would be very cool. So this one would be like the first one, and then there'd be more about different guilds. Very cool.
I think that'd be cool.
All right, any other questions? Thank you.